Football Friday edition of the program. Merely Bo and the Great Z returns from smallpox. You've been inoculated and you're back, buddy.
Oh, I'm trying, man. I don't know if I'm. I don't
Oh,
know
boy.
I don't know if I'd say I was all the way back, but certainly fighting the good fight, brother.
Oh, boy.
And wanting to be with you, obviously, here today.
Yeah, Uncle Zest. I think it feels like our Zest meter's at about a 4.5.
If out of 10, I think we're probably up to like a 5. I've got some.
Yeah, you're
zest.
right there.
Yeah, I've got some zest. We got some zest. Last night was helpful for the zestiness with the Patriots coming through, but just want to say thank you so much for kind of holding down the fort this week. I hate obviously being sick and missing any time here, so I appreciate it.
You're safe, pal. I'm going to take about 6 weeks off coming up here in about 2 weeks, so you'll be
not 2 weeks. No. Hold on a second.
Really through about May.
Get through the playoffs at least. Come on.
At least going to be through May. It's going to be all you. We got a lot of news here.
It might be all Gibbe then, because I don't know.
Give it to Gibbe.
Yeah, I might be.
Him and the Jake. You got him and Uno and Ocho.
Uno's got it.
Let those guys run the show.
Well, now that we know Griff has his own day, I feel like there's no reason why Griff can't run some shows.
There's 100% he could run shows.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an electric factory.
Yeah.
We got some news. We'll have some tomfoolery, and I do want to hear about your convalescing to a certain extent.
Sure.
Save me some of the gory details. But we do have some news here and some not news here. Stefanski has not named a starter. Yesterday on the show, I don't think it's a big deal that he isn't. Joe Flacco's getting the ones. Joe Flacco's going to start on Sunday. This is me talking, not the Cleveland Browns, and certainly not Coach Stefanski. But I think we can have a little bit of common sense here. And as you pointed out, and I gave you credit for it yesterday on the show, this is one of those ones where he can have a little leeway with gamesmanship because it's a drastically different approach if you're preparing for Flacco or if you're preparing for Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
Yeah, and I think, the truth is at this point, those plans are pretty much made, whatever that the Jags would have had to, dedicate to DTR, planning for DTR. That time has probably come, but you don't have to say anything outside. I think internally, everybody kind of understands what the plan is, and my guess is we'll see how that unfolds. But I think it's fair to assume that we have no starter officially, but I think the signs are certainly pointing for Joe Flacco to make his second start. But you never know. DTR did play very, very well. Those last 3 possessions that he had against the Denver Broncos all were scoring possessions, 2 field goals and a touchdown. So maybe it's not just that simple, but I guess we'll have to tune in and find out on Sunday, Bo.
Yeah, as games go, and we'll get to what happened with Pittsburgh last night, and some of these matchups, including Cincinnati and Indy this week. This is critical stuff because you're all fighting for the same 4 spots here, the same 3 spots rather at the bottom of the AFC. So these are monster games that are going to take place this weekend. We can tell you that Trevor Lawrence practiced again today down in Jacksonville.
Yep.
He was moving well yesterday. I've seen the video. I'm sure you have as well of what he looked like today. I said yesterday on the show, he's going to play. He's playing Sunday, and I'm sure we're preparing for that.
Absolutely. I mean, let's. The facts are this: Trevor Lawrence has not missed a start. He's never missed a game. 46 straight starts. He's one of 3 quarterbacks in the league to start every game since week 1 of 2021. Justin Herbert's another one. The last quarterback who started for the Jags, not named Trevor Lawrence, was Mike Glennon in week 17. I got to give a little credit to Andrew Siciliano, who just texted me the following, which is that Kevin is kind of saying, Doug Peterson's playing silly games with Trevor Lawrence. It certainly looks like he's going to play. Well, I'll play some silly games, too, with our quarterback situation. You're going to get no information from me either. But I feel like that's where we're at.
Those 2 situations are apples and avocados a little bit, though.
Of course they are.
One is a franchise quarterback, number 1 overall pick. The other is a very different circumstance dealing with different things. But that's probably a little Philly on Philly crime there.
It is, and I'm for it. I'm not against it at all. I think that, you think about Trevor Lawrence, and he's playing so well. He's accounted for 9 touchdowns with only 1 interception over the last 3 weeks, 5 passing touchdowns, 4 rushing touchdowns. He's rushed for a score in 3 straight. Now, the one thing that could give the Jags pause, if we're being honest about it, if he's got a high ankle sprain, he's not 100%, right? Could he go tough it out? Of course he can. And he's shown that he's done that. Remember, I don't know if you remember back earlier in the year, let me see what week it was, week number 7, he had hurt his knee in a win over the Colts on a Sunday, and then they played New Orleans on a Thursday,
Yeah.
And they weren't sure if he was going to be able to play that game. And guess what? He most certainly did, and they won it 31-24. So I would expect to see him out there. Now, the only thing is, the caveat I was getting to was, it's hard not to notice what happened in week 1 against our defense when Joe Burrow was movement compromised.
Mm-hmm.
And so if there was any pause at all for the Jags, it might be this isn't necessarily the right situation to put a movement compromised quarterback out there. Now, we would have helped our cause had we been more effective at getting to and hitting the quarterback the last couple of weeks, because we don't have a single defensive line sack in 2 games. But that would be the one area maybe of pause for Doug Peterson here. My guess is Trevor Lawrence was the one who was on the field against the Chiefs when Patrick Mahomes got hurt and came back and was like, "F no, I'm playing." It feels like Trevor Lawrence has that same mentality. I mean, the guy refused a cart, for crying out loud.
Yeah, you mentioned the streak. You mentioned all of it. For them, they got us, and then they got Baltimore. So that's their next 2. And so I know Houston has the Jets this week. I'm not sure who Houston has next week, but that's really who the Jaguars are trying to fend off is Houston. So you could see them, just from a smart football standpoint, saying, hey, let's sit this one out against Miles and that defense. And this defense is different when Denzel Ward is back, and Denzel Ward's going to play on Sunday as well. So let's sit this one out, and let's try to get you as close to 100% as we can by the time we get to that game against Baltimore the following week. The other part of this from the Lawrence perspective is they're banged up on the offensive line too. Walker Little ruled out, their backup tight end, and Brenton Strange ruled out as well. So some of that protection stuff for him is also a little weary. And so, I know he's going to play, though. I mean, you can act like it's the smart decision, and some of it's probably wishful thinking, but I would be absolutely stupefied if 16 wasn't playing on Sunday.
Agreed, and it'll be interesting to see with Walker Little out what direction they go at left tackle, and that could be a big problem for them. Mm-hmm. I'm with you, though. I do think he's playing. By the way, for the Texans, you were wondering, Texans have Jets, at Titans, home Browns, home Titans, at Colts. So certainly a manageable schedule. Yep. The Jags the rest of the way have us, home Ravens, at Bucks, home Panthers, at Titans. So they should feel pretty good about their final. They should feel pretty good about being 11-6 worst case scenario. Yeah.
And it feels like Houston is going to be in that vicinity as well. That's what I'm saying. Like, these are huge games this weekend in the AFC of the team trying to get to those 4 spots. That Buffalo team at 6-6 playing Kansas City this week. I don't see a scenario how you can drop to 6-7 if you're Buffalo and make it. I really don't. I don't know how 10 might not be enough for them, and they have all the tiebreakers aren't in their favor, and they still have to play Dallas. They got to play Miami. It's a full day for them.
They need to win one of at Chiefs, home Cowboys. If they do that, it's feasible they go 4-1 and go 10-7 if they win one of the Chiefs and one of the Cowboys, because at Chargers, home Patriots certainly feel winnable, and then you don't know what the stakes will be week 18 at Miami. What they need is Miami to either have locked up the number 1 seed or to have not at that point and not be playing.
Yeah. That's you have that pegged, my friend. Other injury report news from our end: Amari Cooper with a concussion, and David Njoku with the knee. Both returned to practice today. For Chief, that was something I told the audience about. I mean, the guy played with his face burned off. He's going to play through damn near anything.
Yes.
Coop and the concussion, though, that would be he'd have to be out of the protocol.
Correct.
So one thing that's new this year is you can return to practice and then we hear about it, but you're still in the protocols. And you can participate. I don't remember that in previous years. Maybe I just misremember.
It's part of going through the protocol.
Okay.
That is one of the steps. So to practice, and then if he does not have any symptoms coming out of this practice, that would enable him to progress through.
So I was trying to think. I thought DTR had 2 of those. I thought he had a Wednesday and a Thursday practice before today having a clean designation, but I could be wrong.
So it varies for different people and their baselines and all of that, but part of it is doing, obviously, physical activities before you get through and then and getting back to where you need to be.
And the only guy not on the field of those that were expected was DeJuan Jones was not on the field as well. I know Coach spoke here in the last 15 minutes or so. I did not see I'll be candid with you. I've not been monitoring everything that was said. I did see his comments about Flacco, but wasn't sure if he addressed the DeJuan Jones part of this or not.
He said he tweaked his knee recently in practice. Or DeJuan Jones tweaked his knee recently. They will see how that impacts him for game day.
Okay. All right, there you go. So that's where
I mean,
you stand.
DeJuan's a guy that he's played through injuries. He's shown his ability to do that. I would expect to see him out there as well.
How would you describe what you've been through the last 48 hours?
Unpleasant. I mean, that's fever, chills, body ache, and then you go to the doctor and, take the COVID test, not COVID, so that's good. But it's just the flu, and he's like, yeah, you're fine. It's just going to, it's a viral. It just has to run its course. Like, we don't have – I know that there's Tamiflu out there, but I guess they only give that in very particular cases. Mm-hmm. Like, you have to be really needing it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm fine. Every day has been better, but the first night when I was like fever, chills, body ache, headache, sweating, gross, it was awful.
Zero zest. That's when you were at zero zest.
That's when I was at no zest, yeah.
None.
No,
Zero.
I was completely zestless. Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, devoid of zest.
Do you think, I guess the only way to ask this is straightforward, so I will, and I understand that it's a harsh question. Did your and Nana's protocols fail you?
No, maybe. I don't know.
Because you have them. You have the rock.
I'm on them.
Protocols.
I got it. She brought me a whole thing of the vitamins, and I'm running it. I mean, I've got every day. The trend is very much improving. So I guess in that sense it's good. But no, I think you fly into Denver. It's below freezing. Gibbe will tell you we may have gotten sick even when we were like walking to the plane in Denver to fly to L.A. Sunday night. It was insanely cold. Then you're in L.A., which is nice and warm, and it's good, but then it's cold at night, and you get some of the hot, some of the cold, and then you fly through the night. You come back here where it's cold and damp. And there are a lot of people, unfortunately, who went on that trip that are now, various states of ailment.
Yeah. The
But
LA influenza.
Listen, you play like a champion. And part of the thing is, the flu's not really here in Ohio, but apparently it is in California already. So
okay.
We may have picked it up there, and then
oh my God, you're a splinter cell for the flu
in
Ohio.
Yeah, perhaps, and then that when you have a moment as great as the moment I had with Irv is,
yeah, there was going to be
there's got to be
can't stay too high.
There's got to be something, right?
Something
that just exactly. So
yeah,
that's what I attribute it to. So thanks a lot, Playmaker.
Yeah. Well, look, it was all worth it.
Totally. Footprints of greatness.
So it was
Footprints
all
of
worth
greatness. The good news, I feel much better, and I feel like I'll be 100% by game time. So I'm a more of a sure thing than Trevor Lawrence. I'll tell you that.
You are, yeah, and I think you're both sure things. I'm seeing it in the kids' schools. The Columbus Blue Jackets were wiped out by it this week as well. The NHL team down there, they were wiped out with illness. So there is a pretty good spike going on at the moment that is happening throughout. So that's part of it. If there was something that ailed you, as good as Nana's protocols and perhaps a nice ladle of soup, bone marrow broth infested, Pittsburgh sorcery has run out. It's over. Sorcery's over.
And I thought it hadn't run out. I thought they jumped off sides on that punt.
Yeah.
The NFL needs to figure out this
They got to get it sorted.
Nonsense. Now, I understand what they're saying because those guys, two of them moved on New England side clearly in relation to him moving his head. Mm-hmm. But they've got to figure this whole thing out with games cannot be decided by if you think the center moves his hand or his head. It's
insane. That it happened in our game, and it happened last night to them. I was thrilled it happened to them.
Same.
But at the same time, that's a nuts call. That's encroachment all the way. It's been encroachment all the way for 25 years. The idea that it's not now, it's nonsense. In the middle of a season, you can't just say all because you're worried about the brotherly shove, tush push.
Which, by the way,
it's a different play.
Only Philadelphia can do it anyway, so who cares? New England tried to do it at the end of the game to run the game out.
Right. Yeah.
Failed. Only New England's the only team that's any good at it. I mean, Philly's the only team that's any good at it, so who cares? But, yeah, like, enough with it. It's silly. It is amazing to me, though, when you watch these games. Like, I don't know if you were on 4th and 2, he throws a bomb to Deontay Johnson. There's perfect coverage, but you're just, like, holding your breath for the official to throw a flag.
Yeah.
Like that, the decision to throw or not throw a flag in that case is outcome determining of the whole game. And I think they did a great job not to throw a flag there because it was good coverage. And really, Deontay initiated the contact when you watched it back. But that's what's so tough is you. I understand the officials, and they're in a very difficult job in trying to assess these things at full speed in real time. Mm-hmm. We've got the Sky guy. That guy needs to be more involved in terms of getting these things right or wrong. And then we've got there just needs to be a hard and fast rule on what's going on before the snap that is okay or not okay. Like, and if no advantage is gained, if a guy moves the ball or he lifts his head up to look around or whatever, and nobody on the defense moves, that should never be a penalty. I understand them saying they felt like that they only went offsides because the guy raised his head. At least like that caused something. But in our case with Posick, nobody did anything.
Nobody moved.
So what's the point of the flag?
Yeah. I also think it's very difficult. It's bothersome to me that the league, and I'm glad that it worked out against Pittsburgh yesterday, but it bothers me like in the middle of the season, you're going to say, well, now this is a point of emphasis. Like,
right.
Get through the year, make a change. Like, with what's going on with Posick, like, he's doing the same thing he's always done.
Yes.
And now it's a penalty. His whole career it's not been, and now it is. And it's the most critical time when it's called on us. That's a brutal play in a brutal moment. And to me, it just does not feel like it's proper sportsmanship or even any sort of administering of the rules the way that they're meant to be administered. It bugs me that they have a point of emphasis in the middle of the season. I think it's nonsensical.
Yes, you can have a point of emphasis in the preseason. That's what it's for, when you try to teach them how to deal with some of the new rules. Not in the season. I couldn't agree more.
No. All that said, somehow Pittsburgh, if you were to go back to 2 weeks ago and they're sitting at 7-4, and I think we did this when we went around the AFC
North. We had them at 9-4.
And you go, they're 9-4 because they're beating Arizona and they're beating the Patriots. These are the two most hapless teams in the league, along with Carolina, for the last 2 months. You got them both at home. There was no scenario that had Pittsburgh losing one, let alone both. They get slumped by Arizona, and then they lose last night to the Pats. They're 7-6, brother. They're out of the postseason if it started right now.
And that is the first time it's ever happened, right? First time that teams ever lost back-to-back games to two teams 8 games under 500.
Yeah, fact.
Unbelievable.
Both at home.
It really is incredible. It's good, though. That's good history to be made.
Yeah, especially them. And by the way, I told you yesterday, I'm on an island yesterday doing the show, and I said Steelers by $1 billion.
Well, good.
On a Thursday.
We were in the same. We were in the same on that one. Good. That's what I didn't think they were going to win, but I thought it was going to be like a 6-3 game. Now it turns out that how about this? I know I was somebody on Twitter that I think it was a great Cleve TA. I think he had 6-1 on if the Patriots could score more than 21.5 points.
Ooh.
And they had 21 at the half.
Oh, no.
There had to be, though, some type
painful.
of a wager you could make on the second half that they would get exactly 0 points, like that they would be shut out in the second half.
Yeah, if you were active.
Yeah, there'd have to be some hedge off of that where you were guaranteed something pretty nice. But what an unbelievable – that's wild. They had 21. And then, I'm watching the game at the end, and it's so funny because this is what's so wrong, in my opinion, with the way that we as fans and even commentators decide on whether something was right or wrong. Mm-hmm. Like, they needed to try to either go for it run it 4 straight times and try to get a first down in the game, or throw it on that 3rd and 4. You never want to give the ball back to the Steelers in that situation.
No.
I understand they had no timeout, so you run it or whatever, but it's so interesting how those things work out, because had they just run, punted, and the Steelers go and win, you'd say they had to be more aggressive. Mm-hmm. Now, because they ran, punted, and they didn't lose, now it was the right thing. It's wild. Just in those moments, I was thinking, what if they're going to do this? Are they going to do that? I understand leaning on your defense, but oh man, I kept thinking, all right, the Steelers have it. And then when they on the punt, I was like, okay, that's it. The magic's there. But then it wasn't.
Then it wasn't. No. And so now for us, as we bring it full circle with a win Sunday, oh baby, now you're talking.
Oh baby, 5 seed. Let's go. Inject it into
in
my
the
veins.
AFC, you're talking big. If we can take care of a little bit of business, we will
a massive
get you
game.
set. It's huge. It really is. And it sounds like it's going to be a little warmer than was initially prognosticated. Earlier this week when we were looking at it, it was looking like high 30s. Now it looks like it could be high 40s. So it could be wet and that type of stuff, but I think it could be a little bit of a decent day down near the lake. We'll get you set with the matchup. It is a scores edition of the program as well. Our baby boys getting back. Uncle Zest is back. He's at a 5, self-proclaimed 5 on the Zest level. That's more than any of the rest of us would ever wish for. We're off and running. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Elk and Elk Serious Lawyers, serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK Ohio for a free case review. Elk and Elk's proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Time for the matchup presented by Ballybet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio. Went over some of the statistical stuff yesterday, but now a couple of matchups to watch on offense and defense. And so for the specifics on that, we go to 5 on the Zest scale for him, 1,000 for all of you. Dr. Z.
All right, Bo, thank you very much. You know, the big matchup, I think, for the Browns is going to be stopping Josh Allen. Allen, third in the NFL with 13.5 sacks. He has 4.5 sacks in his last 3 games. He's got, on the season, he's third in the NFL with 71 pressures. He has 11 games with at least 3 or more pressures that leads the AFC. Why is that important? Well, in Joe Flacco's first start, without pressure, 66% completions. With pressure, 26%. Quarterback rating, without pressure, 112. With pressure, 11.8. So it is going to be very important to keep Josh Allen on one side, Trayvon Walker, who has a career-high 5 sacks, the former number 1 overall pick. Those guys, that is a big, big matchup to watch in this one.
Number 2 on the our offense versus their defense side, my friend?
I definitely think we can get after their secondary. They're currently giving up, 261.7 yards through the air per game. That's 30th in the NFL. Tyson Campbell is not having a great year, allowing 64% completions, 121 rating. Monteric Brown, 65% completions, 127 rating. So I think we can get after this team through the air a little bit. And their linebackers, who are great in the run game. Olukon is, he leads the NFL with 131 tackles this year. Led the NFL with 184 tackles last year. In 21, he was with Atlanta, led the NFL with 192 tackles. But you can get him in coverage as well. 83% completions, 96 rating. Devin Lloyd, 76, 119. So I definitely think we can attack them. The one guy who's playing really well for them is Darius Williams, the Super Bowl champ from the Rams, former teammate of Obo Okoronkwo. He's got 16 passes defensed already. That is second in the NFL, 3 interceptions. And he's only given up a 74 rating when targeted. So stay away from Williams, but he's only 5'9", so there is a little bit of a size advantage out there. If the Browns run, say Cedric Tillman over on his size at 6'3", perhaps you have an opportunity to get some of those jump balls over there. But I definitely think we've got to be able to throw the football against them effectively. It goes hand in hand. And then really the third one is, we're the number 7 rushing offense. They're the number 5 rush defense. So they've been pretty good against the run, 93 yards per game, 4.1 yards per carry. But I think sometimes when that's skewed because they're giving up, they're 30th against the pass. So if teams are passing for a bunch of yards, they don't need to run for a lot of yards.
Yeah, and the thing that's kind of interesting about them is you went over their pass yards per game and stuff. Early in the season, they were creating a bunch of turnovers. That's fallen away a little bit here recently. And yet when you look at their roster, and I know you've got your board in front of you there, it's almost like a college football all-star game at sometimes it feels like, with all of the names that are out there. And they've got a lot of dudes. It's like for whatever reason they don't equal the sum of their parts. And now it's that they're not over. They're not quite as you'd think.
They still have 21 takeaways on the season, which is second most in the NFL, 12 interceptions, fifth, 63 passes defense, that's fourth. But, yeah, you're talking about some big-time dudes from big-time programs. Now, they do have Olakuns from Yale, so they've got some interesting ones. They also have a guy, I came across this, which was pretty good, Gregory Jr., who's probably going to play some nickel corner, and I definitely think we can get after him, is the first ever draft pick from Ouachita Baptist. Now, I have no idea where Ouachita Baptist is, but he's the first ever draft pick from there.
It's a Division II school of some repute in football. I want to say in Alabama.
Okay. Well, he's their first ever draft pick.
Yeah. It's definitely the Deep South. I know that from my time covering Valdosta State, which was a D2 power. And
yeah, sure.
Every once in a while they would play those cats. So I do remember that a little bit from days gone by. But, yeah, good job out of you. Nice job on the pronunciation on that as well. All right, let's flip it. On the defensive side, your number one matchup to watch, Dr. Z.
Well, if they're without their starting left tackle, Walker Little, it's going to be all about, to me, going ahead and getting Myles Garrett going. And it feels like it's possible that maybe Blake Hance gets a start, because last week when Little went out, Blake Hans is the one who came in. So we'll have to see how that all plays out there. But I definitely think our ability on the edges, on one side it'll be a backup, on the other it's Anton Harrison, their first-round pick out of Oklahoma, who's given up 5 sacks this season. So I think for Zadarius Miles and Obo on the edges, we really should be able to dominate this team.
It's been well, I'm going to wait till you get to your 3, and then I have a couple defensive questions for you. Number 2,
you got to limit the big plays and the explosives to Calvin Ridley. He's got 3 100-yard games this season, 9 catches of more than 25 yards. Zay Jones can get down the field. Now we catch a break. It looks like they won't have Christian Kirk. And then in the short passing game, you got to watch out for ETN. He's got 40 catches for 346 and a touchdown. And you got to watch out for Evan Ingram. He leads the team with 73 catches, only 606 yards, 8.3 a catch, and a touchdown. But his next catch will set a franchise record for most catches by a tight end in a single season, breaking his own record that was set last year and tied this year.
Yeah, the thing that's tricky, and I think what you're probably going to see, folks, out of them offensively in the game, especially if we have inclement weather or if it's slop, they're not really a team built to pound it. Etienne's more of a slight running back. He's not a bulldozer. So I think one thing that you could see would be a lot of quick game in the pass game with Lawrence. So throwing to Etienne, throwing to Ingram. My hunch is that's the way they will try to do it in the game on Sunday. For number 3, Dr. Z.
Well, yeah, and you mentioned the run game. Etienne's averaging 3.8 yards a carry. Bigsby 2.4. Dearness Johnson 2.9. They're averaging as a team 3.6 yards a carry. So, no, they are not a dynamic running team at all. But that short passing game, and you're exactly right with Evan Ingram, he's second behind only the Chief with 369 yards of yak, which is second among all tight ends. With Trevor Lawrence, one of the best deep ball throwers in the league, the pressure is going to be the key, and I think we got to blitz him. Under pressure, his completion percentage drops from 73.6 to 47.1. His rating drops from 103 to 64. Blitz versus not, completion percentage drops from 73 to 55. The rating drops from 100 to 79. So that will be so important in this one to go ahead and get that pressure on him. Not having Christian Kirk's a big deal. He leads the team with 787 yards this season. He's a guy, kind of a big play threat. He has 11 catches of more than 25 yards. So you got to heat up Trevor Lawrence. And if it's not Trevor Lawrence, C.J. Beathard, listen to these numbers. Pressure is even more important. When he last started, which was in 2020, C.J. Beathard for his career he's 2 for 2 and 10. But last started in 2020 with and without pressure, without 77% completions, 9.4 yards an attempt, 6 touchdowns, no picks, a 132.5 rating. With pressure, 34%, 3.5 yards per attempt, and a 45 rating. So pressure is going to be very, very important regardless of who the quarterback is for the Jags. But again, we all expect it to be Trevor Lawrence.
When you think about the lack of pressure that we've gotten the last couple of weeks, how much of it can I mean, this is obvious, but how is it more of a fall off than you would have thought with the fact that Denzel Ward wasn't playing, and so then you get maybe an extra split second in term from a coverage standpoint, or you can use somebody's open quicker, and how much of it is also the fact that Miles has played kind of with like half of an arm for 2 games.
Listen, we have a lot of guys who should be able to get to the quarterback and who are not necessarily getting to the quarterback as well as they should be, or that we've come to expect them to. I think that there's a lot of factors that go into it, but it's about winning your one-on-ones, and when you do get to the quarterback, it's about getting him on the ground. So that's what you got to do. You got to get him to the ground. It's not pressures are very important, clearly, as we talked about, but you have got to be able to get them to the ground. And you've got to be able to finish those plays. And that's what Zadarius Smith was talking about. It's a guy who's used to having double-digit sacks. Yeah. He's got to get the quarterback to the ground. He's hit the quarterback a bunch, but he's got to get him to the ground. And that's really, it's about finishing these pass rushes.
Yeah, that's where we're at. It's a monster game. There are matchups that are in our favor for sure, but they're quality. I mean, we've seen what they've done throughout this season and the type of operation that they have there. And so if Lawrence goes, and it's our anticipation that he will, this is going to be a full day's work on Sunday at Cleveland Browns Stadium in a game that would be so critical in your hopes of making the postseason. Good job to you on that, Dr. Z. Very good job.
Thank you.
All right. Coming up next, perhaps Gibbe, too. We'll check in on Gibbe's health, see where he's at, because smallpox is ravaging all of us, or all of you, rather. So we will get to that coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Pet Supplies Plus give you a chance to win tickets to home games all season long while providing the best deals for your pet at 75 stores throughout Ohio. Enter to win at clevelandbrowns.com/pet supplies plus to receive your coupons. So there you go. Good luck on that. Gibby, do we have you?
Give it.
Give it. He's looking at the phone.
Hello.
There he is. There he is. Oh, hey,
Hi.
Gibby. How you doing? How's your vacation?
Hi.
How's your vacation?
Boy, between you and my wife, man. She's like, boy, you've lived your best life for 2 weeks now.
Just
I'm
really
like,
chilling.
really? We sure about that?
Jeez, you guys both got pinched. Were either of you able to use any of it to your advantage? Did you see a Christmas movie that you were waiting to see? Was there any downtime?
I haven't had a minute of downtime. They're like,
Well,
hey, I know
you're
you're
doing all
sick,
that
but
stuff.
hey,
Yeah.
we got a pregame show on Sunday to get ready for. And while we're at it, why don't we talk about the next two after that? I'm like, how about we not? How about we talk about that on Monday or Tuesday?
That's the problem, Gibby. For you, there is no replacing. You're one of one. So if you're out, it all goes to hell.
Yeah. No,
That's
I know.
the operation.
I
mode.
know.
So
Yeah. I'm with Gibby, though.
Mine is just
I've had a lot of
a
downtime.
little sinus action. Yeah.
Z, have you had any movies, anything you were able to do, anything enjoyable?
We did get a Office Christmas Party in,
Okay.
which is I really enjoy
delight.
that film. But I'm like the last few nights anyway. The last few have been like asleep real early and waking up not so early and not feeling great. But we're getting there. And plus, this is the second time that I'm so used to my routine for the boards of being in the studio and getting it done. Like, this is the second week in a row where I've had to do it kind of piecemeal, and I'm definitely not as efficient sitting at my dining room table doing my boards as I am when I'm in the office and I've got my computer
Agreed.
and the printouts and all of that.
Yeah, different mindset.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Well, and you don't feel good, and you're like, ugh.
Yeah, it sucks. Yeah. All right. This will put I'll do a quick Bootsy story for you.
Yes.
Still haven't been able to unleash the ultimate punishment. That wasn't. But when you have children, you have a certain thresholds that the older ones have to cross over, and then as the younger ones come through, those thresholds become less and less. So, for example, NBC could not play Fortnite until going into his 5th grade year was the first time I allowed him to play it.
Okay.
Beamsy started playing going into 4th grade. So this week, Bootsy's watching Beamsy play all the time, and I'm like, if you're just watching, what's the difference? You might as well play. There's no sense in you just watching your brother
Sure.
play. Like, you might as well enjoy yourself. So he went nuts when I let him play. And my only rule was you have to ask me permission first and let me know you're doing it so I can monitor how much and all of that. So he's fine. So he's so excited. So he's been playing for a day. So last night we sit home to dinner, and he's down there playing. And my wife goes and says, "Pax, come up. Time for dinner." Nothing.
Okay.
One more time. Nothing. So we sit
He
down.
might be on a headset.
getting
He might be on a
close.
headset. He might be on a headset.
Don't protect your boy. Don't protect your boy here.
Just saying, he might be on a headset.
So I finally say, "Pax, now, Bootsy, get up here." So he came up, and we eat dinner. And he finishes dinner, and as soon as he's done eating dinner, he's like, "Can I be excused? Can I be excused? Can I be excused?" And I know what he wants to do. He wants to sprint back down and get right back on the sticks and get back to the Fortnite. And I said, "Did you enjoy that meal?" And he goes, "Yeah, Dad. Can I be excused? Can I be excused?" I said, "Well, you can, but you're grounded from Fortnite." And he goes,
man.
"Oh, God. What? What did I do?" I said, "When we tell you to come up for dinner, you come on the first ask, not the third.
Yeah.
Not the third.
Fair.
You come right away. That's the operation. That's the threshold. Took 3 times, now you're grounded." Waterworks. I mean, he was crying so hard he had a bloody nose. It was amazing. It was just amazing. I felt so. But he's got to learn. He's like
gotta
a
learn.
colt. You
Yeah.
got to break him the hard way.
Yeah.
And savvy because
there are
I
rules.
waited until after so it wouldn't ruin dinner. You wait till after.
Yep.
And then hit him
Veteran
with it.
move.
Yeah. So that's the way that went. So, but I still haven't dropped the overall big one.
Yeah. The snaps.
So, yeah. So this was where he stands.
How's he doing in Fortnite?
Well, he's pretty good. like kind of right out of the gates because they just understand like the first person thing. Like for me, the first time I hopped on it. Oh, and by the way, I haven't talked to you about this. NBC is like he's doing Call of Duty now.
Yeah, Call of Duty's pretty serious.
So I was up here and it was earlier in the week and it was that day you were sick, Tuesday when you were really ill, and I started hearing like, and I'm going, oh, I know what that is. It's been a minute, but I know what that sound is. And sure enough, chopper, paratroop, let's go. So he's into that now. So that's been a long time since I played Call of Duty.
Yeah, that's a good game. That one, I like it. Bryce has never got into it as much, so I have certainly not done much with it. But I mean, I feel like we got to get in there. Me, you, and Bootsy getting a squad on Fortnite. Dude, be great.
I'm so lost on the Fort. I would love for you and him to play.
I'd be more than happy.
That would be amazing, and we'll record it at just the back and forth of his zest, and then maybe his zest will bring your zest because you're zest blood brothers. So maybe a shared zest.
Yeah, a shared zest. It would be great.
All right, we've got you guys both went 3-2 last week.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm up 2 games on Gibbe, and he just keeps taking all the same picks as me.
So you guys are. It's a smart play out of Gibby though because he's not burying himself.
True.
So he's hanging, and so he's 2 back.
It's smart though to put it. He's trying to put it all into 1 week. That's
and then just
smart.
It is, and he could just go opposite the last couple
of
weeks.
We have. I feel like we've got 8 weeks left.
Sometimes it feels like the season's over in 2 weeks, and then you realize that we're going to be doing this, a week into January, still in the regular season, and then postseason after that.
A month from today is technically the last game, if I'm correct.
You're right. Yeah.
January 8th?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. All right, gentlemen. I think I started with you last week, Z, so I'm starting with you this week, Gibbe. We're looking for Joe Flacco passing yardage. The number we're looking for is over under 250.5.
Question.
That's if he plays, right?
Question.
He's starting. Come on.
We don't have a starter, so can it just be Browns quarterback passing yards?
Fine.
Okay.
I'll play along. Play the charade.
250 yards?
250.5.
I think I'm going to take a little under that. Just a little bit. Not a lot, though, but I think we'll be under that.
All right. Dr. Z?
I'm going to go over.
Haven't had the time to study up this week, have you there, buddy boy?
Did you see the boards? They're
the
done.
boards, they're ready.
They're giving up 261 yards per game, which if you factor out their sacks, means they're giving up like 280 yards passing per game. Next.
Next.
Over, under.
All right, this is a running back over-under for you first, Z. Travis Etienne total yards, over-under Jerome Ford total yards.
Etienne. Not even close.
Over. All right. Give it.
Yeah, I've got to go Etienne as well. I need our defense to show me. Stop the run. Stop the schmucks.
He also doesn't have to split with anybody.
Here's the thing. Did you guys, I don't know, you probably didn't notice this, but last week when we did Kyron Williams versus our backs, the rushing total, Kyron Williams had 88, our backs had 87.
Yep.
It came down to receiving yards. Jerome Ford had a 33-yard reception.
Yep.
And Kyron Williams had a 24 yards in receiving, and that was the difference. It was 8 yards difference.
Wow.
Between those two. Next.
Over, under.
All right, we're looking for receiving yardage. So our best receiver, so our top receiver, so you can have either Elijah or Amari, because I don't know if Amari's playing or not. So you can have, but I'm going to have to do it this way. If Amari plays, it's Amari. If not, you get Elijah. Plus Chief, over, under, Ridley and Ingram. Give it.
I got to go with our guys.
Over.
Come on, Denzel's going to be back. Maybe. Who knows? I don't know.
No, he's playing. He's in. Stop it. I'm going to. This is going to
power of positivity from you today.
I'm going to be the arbiter of truth, And anytime there's injury arbitration of truth, I will give you the real truth, Bootsy. Denzel's playing.
Lock it down. We're going over us.
So they get
Here we
Ingram and Ridley.
Yep, Ingram and Ridley versus Chief and Amari if he plays or Elijah if he doesn't.
Can I make 3 caveats?
You can. The board will hear your caveats, but I can't guarantee anything.
Okay. If Trevor Lawrence plays
He's playing.
and Amari Cooper does not play, I want the Browns. How about we'll do it this way? If Amari Cooper doesn't play, I want the Browns. If not, I want the Jags, unless, of course, Lawrence doesn't play, then definitely the Browns.
I've gone
What
cross-eyed.
in the blue hell is that?
I just went Pepe Sylvia. I'm now drawing on the side of a map.
Yes.
I mean, it's
I
too
want
much.
it, if it's Elijah and Chief, I want Elijah and Chief. But if it's not Elijah and Chief, I want the Jags, unless I don't care who it is on the Brown side if there's no Trevor
I'm not
Lawrence.
going to do the second caveat. I'll do you this. If Amari plays, then you want Jacksonville. If Amari doesn't play, you want the Browns.
No, forget it. I'm going to go Jags, and if Lawrence doesn't play, I want the Browns.
Can't do
If
that
I only,
for you.
if I only get one caveat, I get one caveat.
Can't do it.
Yeah, but you don't get to determine if the caveat is legit or not.
No, you asked for caveats. I didn't promise you any. I was going to give you one. That was the one I was willing to concede.
Okay. You're asking me to, in this case, predict an over-under on receiving totals for guys who may or may not have their Pro Bowl quarterback. I feel like his availability, much like for the
Well,
Matt Stafford one for you with the Rams,
Yeah.
you took that game off the board because Matt Stafford didn't play.
That's a totally different. That's scores. There are rules to scores. Like we're having to do this on a Friday. I gave you one caveat. I gave you the Amari caveat.
I don't want that caveat anymore. I only want the Lawrence.
But how could you be so sure about
I only want this caveat.
How could you be so sure what our
The hell
receivers
outta
are going to
here.
do when we don't know who's going to start for us? Either a
How about you
pocket
just
passer,
have faith that
I
we're
have-
going to get it done,
I have
Segura?
more of an educated guess.
but
with
we don't know
our
who's going to play
situation.
for us. It could be
Well,
Del
I
PTR,
have an educated guess.
and we could be running triple option.
could be.
It's in play.
Wildcat? Give me Wildcat. For
All right, so I'll
$500.
just take the Browns. We'll just punt this one. I'll take the Browns.
All right, very good. Next,
Over, under.
sacks, interceptions, and fumbles. 3.5, Zagura.
I mean, it feels like it should be over, but we just haven't been that team in a long time, which is unfortunate. If Beathard plays, I think it's a lock that it's over. If Lawrence plays, I'm going to say under.
Ugh,
but
can
I
I
think
get
we're
another
doing this with
caveat?
Lawrence is
Hold
playing.
on. All right, I'm going to say under then.
Good man.
Over. Let's go.
This could be a big
Win the
swing
damn
change. We got
game
three
and let's start
differences.
playing some defense again.
We need it, man. We play better at home. Let's go. Come on.
Yes. Take the
All right.
over.
The actual is 32.5. 32.5,
Gross.
which is way low. Way low. Pittsburgh was
Iowa
30
football.
last night. Yep.
Over.
Over for Gibbe. Over 30.
Over. Here's the only question I have for you.
Yep.
Well, you've had about 50 of them in this segment.
Valid.
See, look at now that Gibby and I are separated.
Because you're
he's-
separated. You used to
he's
have
back to
shared
hating.
joy.
Yeah, he's back to hating on me.
You said shared joy.
I'm not.
So here's the only thing that I would my question.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think that the current total and the current line, which has not moved,
Mm-hmm.
are completely reflective of a situation in which Trevor Lawrence is not playing?
No, because to your first point where you said has not moved, like everybody you talk to down there thinks he's playing.
I'm just saying it moved
So-
from 1.5 to 3 when it was in doubt.
I think it's
And
my hunch
now-
is it's more reflective of the weather,
okay.
like slop. Because it's basically going to start raining Saturday night, and then
It's going to start raining tomorrow morning, I think. It's going to be all-day rain into tomorrow night, and then it's supposed to move out by Sunday morning.
oh, so it's changed.
It's changed a little bit, but
And it's
I mean,
warmer.
It's going to be 43, mid-40s.
As long as there's no wind and rain, that's fine. knowing
there's
us,
going to be
we'll have
wind,
both.
I feel like.
Yeah, I think it's just the garbage weather that's what's setting both of them. And they haven't been gangbusters even with Lawrence. I mean, they just lost to Cincinnati at home with Jake Browning. Jake Browning missed on 4 passes.
They're 6-0 on the road. 6.
2 of those are in Jacksonville, though, right? Or I mean, in England.
They have not lost out away from Jacksonville.
Who have they played away from Jacksonville? That isn't in London. What's the best
Go to
road
your boards
win?
and tell us, Z.
All right, here we go. They beat the Colts 31-21.
All right.
They beat the Colts 37-20.
Well, no,
I'm
those
sorry.
both.
No, hold on. They beat the Colts 31-21. Falcons and Bills were the 2 that were over there, right?
Yeah.
At Saints 31-24. At Steelers 20-10. At Texans 24-21.
Okay, so the Steelers game is the most indicative of probably how the betting folks think this one's going to go.
Well, yeah, but they won that game, and I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but if that's your 30, that's a 30-point.
they
Pittsburgh's
were
worse
favored.
than us.
They were favored by 3 in that game, and at that time the Steelers
We're
weren't.
better.
At that time, the Steelers were like, I don't know, man.
But they've been fake good all year. You know that, and so
I
do
know the
people in the
Steelers
desert.
aren't good.
People in the desert know that.
Yes, I agree.
All right, we got your fantasy minute.
Hold on a second. Let me say
ahead.
this too. The Jags were just 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, I'm sorry, favored on the road against the Texans. Mm-hmm. The Texans were one of the hottest teams in the NFL. I'm telling you, the fact that we're 2 weeks ago, the fact that we're favored still is Vegas is more skeptical than we are about Lawrence.
Maybe we'll see. I guess we'll find out if it moves when he plays.
Yeah. Like if it goes down to Jags -2, which it might,
Then that's
by
a
the
big-
time we
then
kick
obviously
off,
that- yeah.
you know he's playing.
Clearly, yeah. I think he's playing anyway, but we'll see. All right, your
You're the
fantasy
arbiter of
minute coming
truth.
up. That's right, the arbiter of truth when it comes to your injury reports. Final hour of the program on a football Friday. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Rumpke Waste Recycling, the recycling leader in Cleveland, family-owned and operated, that know how to take care of your waste responsibly. Whether you're a resident or a business, they got your back. Learn more by visiting rumpke.com. Time for the Fantasy Minute, presented by Scale Co. Capital. Could be an interesting one in Kansas City this week, Dr. Z, with Pacheco missing again today. You got me, brother? No, he does. You're good. There you go. Fantasy Minute, buddy. Presented by Scaleco Capital. I said there could be an interesting one with Pacheco this week in Kansas City.
Oh, baby. You're not wrong. Seldom wrong. Right again, as I would say for you. You're getting down to it. Now, what's really hard is that there are still a couple of teams on byes, which is very rare for this time of the year, and this is often the game to get into the fantasy playoffs. So let's take a look at some of the things you want to get going for this week. We'll start at the quarterback position, as we always do, and we will take a look at the names that you need to know for this week. Obviously, your main guys, you're going. This is an up week for Justin Fields to me. This is an up week for Jordan Love to me. This is an up week for Josh Dobbs to me against the Raiders. I like Gardner Minshew against Cincinnati as well. C.J. Stroud, I like him, but to me he's a little down this week with the tough matchup against the Jets, although I haven't sat him against anybody. But this week you could consider, I like Fields better than Stroud this week.
Yeah.
Pacheco against Buffalo, but now you've got that Pacheco situation where he is out this week, as you were talking about. I don't like anybody in that Kansas City backfield. If it was going to be one, if you needed to pick up and play somebody, it's got to be Jerick McKinnon would be my guess. That's got to be the guy.
Have they officially ruled him out?
Apparently so, because I'm looking at it right now. Not seen at Friday's practice. This says on CBS out for Week 14, expected return Week 15. But I don't know. They haven't said that officially. Zach Moss must start against Cincinnati. Rashad White's just been a very solid fantasy player. Obviously, you're going to start him against Atlanta this week. Kyron, roll. ETN, yes. I'd stay away from Eckler this week because we don't know what's going on there. And then Joe Mixon's getting a lot of work. I loved Zeke last night. I picked him up actually in one of my leagues. He was a great start because he catches so many passes in that offense. Those are some of the guys to go with there. Wide receivers for you this week. It's the normal guys as usual. Obviously, you've been waiting for Justin Jefferson to get him back in. I think Nico Collins is a top play, just period. Must start for you this week. I like Cooper Kupp getting involved more for the Rams. I think that continues this week. I think you can start him. And then I love our own Elijah Moore this week. If Amari is out, Flacco is going to try to get him the ball, and I think he has a chance to have a nice game here against the Jags. And then tight ends for you this week. Obviously, the main guys. I like Jace Ferguson. I like Taysom Hill, Cole Kmet, and then Goddard, I think, is going to be back finally for Philly. And if he is, then I think that Goddard is somebody you can get right back into your lineups.
Yeah, it certainly does feel that way. It is crazy to have buys this late in the season, and you're right.
Yeah.
I'm just getting that advisement from Yahoo as well on Pacheco, who's on my squad, who's went from questionable to out. So pay attention to that as you get closer to this weekend. You're going to have to really follow up on Sunday with all of that stuff. Our good buddy Irv, your good buddy Irv, was on Jimmy Kimmel, and this was from Michael Irvin on Jimmy Kimmel. Let's have a listen.
CD Lamb is having some season for the Cowboys.
He is.
They're saying he's on pace, which, doing it, being on pace and actually doing it are two different things, but to break some of your single season records with the Cowboys.
Right, and I love it.
And he wears your number. Oh, you do love it?
I love it.
Oh,
I don't know what people always ask me this stuff. I tell them, let me crack your cranium and fertilize your brain.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me help you out.
Please do.
Let me help you out. Why would I want my number retired? When you retire the number, they put it in the rafters. And as soon as you leave time and go to eternity, they say, lost Michael today. Back to the game. That's it. That's all you get. That's the only time you get your flowers. Was C.D. Lamb wearing number 88? Every Sunday he step on the football field. When he misses a ball, they said Mike Irvin wouldn't have dropped that. If he catches the ball, they said look like Mike Irvin. So no matter what, I get my flowers every Sunday. I don't understand why everybody don't do this or see it my way.
It's amazing. He's such a flowers focused.
He
right now.
wants the Yes, he is flowers focused.
Yeah.
Well said. Santa, look out.
All of it.
CD, wear my number. Totally focused on the flowers.
It's amazing.
It is amazing. It's awesome.
He's a great point. It's something you and I have always said on the retired
Yes.
numbers front. Like if you issue 32 and it says, and you just put a Jim Brown something on the jersey,
Patch, yes.
then it allows for a young kid to have a conversation and say, who is that on the jersey, who might not otherwise know. So he's exactly right. Like by continuing to issue it, it allows for a conversation about our past. And I wish more college teams especially, but pro teams too, would see it that way. I think it's a little bit of a no-brainer. One more thing.
100%.
For us, obviously, go Navy, beat Army.
Yep.
Army-Navy is tomorrow. So that one is in Foxborough. Belichick is going to be the one of the guests on College Game Day. He'll be in a better mood coming off of a win.
Much better. I don't think that he was. By the way, it doesn't look like he's deriving any joy from any of this, although he did think of the first down. He gave a nice little sign, but he looks very pained on the sidelines.
Wouldn't you be? If you'd thrown out Bailey Zappi and you haven't drafted anybody noticeable in, 8 years offensively?
Come on, Zappi threw 3 touchdowns in the first half. He was looking
Who's
like,
his last offensive skill position player draft pick that was a hit?
That was good?
Like Aaron Hernandez?
Hold on. No, keep talking. Talk for 1 second.
I mean, just the last one that was a hit. I don't even know. Like that Ramondre, I guess.
Hold on.
But it's not a great list.
No, it's not a great list. All right, let's take a look at it here. Here we go.
Gronk was before Hernandez.
Yep. All right. Come on now. Come on, Internet. Here we go. All right. So this year, no skill positions drafted except for much later on.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, hey, maybe Pierre Strong. So the best one of the last 3 years was Ramondre in the 4th round.
Mm-hmm. Not much.
Damian Harris in the 3rd round in 2019 was a pretty solid player. Sony Michel had some nice years. I mean, he ran for 3,000 yards.
He
and
picked
18
him
touchdowns.
before Nick Chubb.
Fair, not in retrospect, not a good move.
No, not the best. He picked the wrong Georgia back.
Yes. Jacoby Brissett in 2016.
I mean, you said, it's been a minute.
Garoppolo in 2014.
That's barren wasteland, brother.
I know, hold it. Stephen Ridley in 2011 was a good one. Him and Shane Vereen, those were 2 good picks there. Then he had Gronk and Aaron Hernandez in 2010.
I would say 2010. Yeah. That's the last time he drafted a star.
You're talking about a star?
Stud. Yeah. Like a stud offensive player, skill position player. Yeah. None in 13 years.
And early picks on people like Lawrence Maroney, Chad Jackson was a 2nd-round pick out of Florida.
Yep.
You remember him? You remember him.
I remember him well. Wore number 8 for the Gators, yeah.
I was just surprised that he was a flop.
Mm-hmm.
Bethel Johnson was a 2nd-round receiver who finished with 600 yards in his career.
Yeah, it's not great.
Ben Watson in 2004 was a good pick.
And then Brady. Give him Brady in the 6th round.
Brady, yeah.
That's really from a draft standpoint, it's just not great. What did you make of the John Rahm news yesterday?
I mean, money talks, man. Like,
yeah.
How do you turn down that kind of wealth?
You don't.
You don't, and so that's what's going on. Now, I don't understand, and I was reading something that was sent to me by the Ambassador Cool about, like, golf is fracturing, revenues aren't up, gates aren't up, purses are up, and it's like, why are we trying to now fracture this into 2 competing tours? Like, nobody's watching Live, and they don't seem to care.
They don't.
And he thinks that Rahm going may be what it needs to unify everything. So that Rahm's actually leaving is going to result in goodness for golf as a whole.
Well, remember they have an agreement to buy the PGA Tour, but the framework of that agreement expires on December 31st. So
Right.
if I understand this correctly, I actually think it's the opposite of what the ambassador is hypothesizing. I think
Okay.
this is Liv trying to strong arm the PGA Tour to acquiesce to all of their demands in this purchase.
Well, don't you think it also it diminishes the value on the PGA side if Rahm is Liv?
Does it?
I think so.
I don't. I don't think he moves the needle at all. I don't think, like, these live events draw 120,000 people on the television, on CW. Like, no one's seeking this out. They're not.
No,
Now, they don't care.
No, and I'm not.
They don't care about it. So I don't even know what the end game of this is, but I think there's the only person in that sport who moves the needle is Tiger Woods.
Yes.
For non-golf people. That's
Yes.
it. Everybody
Yep.
else is just a guy. It's just a guy. The golf
Yep.
courses are the stars.
Yep.
It's the majors and it's the golf courses. Those are the stars on the PGA Tour. So you don't have that familiarity with Liv. And so to me, this is more of like a 10-year from now play. To me, everything they're doing with overpaying for all these guys, because there's no way John Rahm is worth $400 million.
Nope.
In terms, there's just zero chance, or Dustin Johnson or any of them. They're not. They don't drive any audience whatsoever. You've seen those crowds at live events. So it really doesn't do any of that. So what it comes down to is I think all of this is just about breaking the PGA Tour.
Well, yes, agreed.
Which they might do.
Yeah, which is wild, right? Like,
Yeah, that's where you're at. The Rolling Stones Hackney Diamonds Tour will be at Cleveland Browns Stadium on Saturday, June 15th. Tickets on sale now. Visit clevelandbrownsstadium.com/Rolling Stones for more information on that. Your keys to victory, your forecast coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. OBM, the preferred provider of copiers and document services for the Cleveland Browns. They'll tackle any size office. Call 216-485-2000 and visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. Time for the keys to beating the Jaguars at home on Sunday. For those keys, we go to Dr. Z.
Well, Bo, as always, it's very simple, right? The first thing you got to do is take care of the football, win the turnover battle. We have still had on this season one game. Under Stefanski, we usually average 6 a season. We've had one game without a giveaway all year. Obviously, that was the rout over Arizona. Can we have a clean sheet? They like to take the ball away, 21 takeaways on the season. You mentioned that's cooled off recently, but that will be so important, number one, to getting the job done. Number two, you have got to get after the quarterback. We think it's going to be Trevor Lawrence. It doesn't matter if it's Lawrence, if it's C.J. Beathard, pressure, burst pipes, and that will be the key to slowing down a dynamic passing attack. By the way, without their leading receiver and without their starting left tackle, I think you have an opportunity to kind of contain this passing attack of the Jags and be that number one defense that we have been, really, and our numbers at home are so good, be that team so far this year. So that'll be 2. And then number 3 is, if Joe Flacco is the starter, and obviously you and I believe that that is likely, you got to protect him too. You just got to give him time. When he has time to operate, he is incredibly effective. That is going to be critical for him and for this football team on Sunday, is to get the run game going. I want to see a little more Pierre Strong, but on top of that, you've got to protect and give him an opportunity to get the football down the field. And, boy, the way, wouldn't it be fun to see Marquise Goodwin make a play? I mean, we're still waiting. 3 catches for 10 yards on the season for Marquise Goodwin.
Man, I never would have thought that. If you go back to those May practices, we were watching him.
Oh, yeah, but then he had the blood clots,
right,
and that just kind of derailed everything, and then the concussion, and just it's never gotten out of first gear, and that's been unfortunate. He had a couple of shots early in the year where the ball just hung up against Cincinnati, but, yeah, you'd love to get him going as well.
Yeah, that'd be fun to see that, a little bit. I mean, this fits him with what Flacco is. There's no question. It fits what he's capable. It'd be fun to see that a little bit. Your forecast for Sunday, provided it is what it says, and remember in Cleveland this could change any 10 minutes, but right now it looks like the rain should slow down by the time you get to kick, potentially even be over by kick. Winds will be 10 to 20 miles an hour. Temperatures in the mid to high 40s Sunday down on the lake, which quite honestly for Jacksonville is going to be less than comfortable, as you can imagine. All right, coming up next, it is time for the scores, kids. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, let Tide Cleaners take care of your laundry and dry cleaning needs this holiday season. Enjoy $10 off of 40 or more all month long with the code BROWNS10. Exclusions do apply. Visit locally owned and operated Tide Cleaners in the greater Cleveland area and make the most of your holidays. It is that time of the program on this day of the week that we do the scores. Time for you to pay attention to them. Hello, Gibby.
Hi.
How you living?
How are we?
We killed it last week again.
Did you?
Yeah, of course.
8 and 5, right?
Yeah.
A pair of 8 and 5s, Gibby.
Well, good.
And already 1-0 this week.
I don't think you were good 2 weeks ago.
What?
Rallied. So far. We are.
2 weeks ago, I was 8 and 7. Bo was 10 and 5.
Well,
Where do we
500.
stand? Where do we stand now? Are we like
All right.
1,000 games over 500?
Let's see. Hold on. Hold, please. You are 55, and I am 49.
Yeah. Well, make it 56.
That's right.
You got the Steelers yesterday. You're welcome.
Well, we got the Pats
Yeah. Nailed it. Well, we said Steelers by $1 billion.
by $1 billion.
There you go. On a Thursday. All right, Gibby. Let's keep the good times
All
rolling.
right, boys. Let's do it. Let's dance. And we start in the NFC South. And an interesting one. By the way,
Yep.
I don't know, maybe I missed this, but Bo, I'm just going to throw it out there. Actually, Z, I'm going to throw it out there. Mr. Bishop exceeded anything that you have ever done in terms of the guess the spread.
Oh, God, I did. I had a day, buddy.
What'd
were
you do?
right.
You
were-
did.
You gave me your spirit. I crushed it on the guess the spread. I think I was 10 and 4 or something like that, wasn't I?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
It's crazy.
So that puts
Well,
us. We're combined now on that one. What is this, week 14?
Yeah.
We're combined 10 and 4 on that.
Fantastic. I love to be part of the success.
Yeah.
Everybody wins.
Everybody,
Stacking dubs.
Lots of winning.
All right, boys. Right off the get-go, Tampa Bay visiting the gutless first-place Falcons. Tampa Bay 5-7 on the year. Falcons 6-6, 4-2 at home. Bishop, lead us off.
I mean, I don't like that guy at all. I did see some conjecture this week. Now it being written, the written word is writing that Justin Fields to Atlanta there's gathering momentum around the league. So it's all perhaps
Really?
working out.
I feel like we put that together.
I think we did too. I think we were a big part of that. World's team, as you know, everyone's listening. I hate doing anything with that guy, but Atlanta's playing decent at the moment, and I feel like Tampa Bay's kind of pushed the chips in. I like Atlanta winning this one 16-13.
Zagura?
Yeah, I don't like Atlanta at all. By the way, Gibby, Chris Rose wants to know if you're doing this from a payphone on 55th and Euclid.
Does it sound bad?
Sounds perfect. Sounds exactly like a payphone on 55th
It
and
does.
Euclid.
That was
Yeah,
a
it's
very
perfect.
apt description. That was pretty good. Unfortunately, I see this one. I can't do it. I don't care. I don't like the Falcons at all. Maybe they win, but if they do, 13-12.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Very good. Same but different.
Well, I'm happy to hang up if you guys want to just take it from here.
No, you're doing it.
No, you're
this
great.
is
No,
the
you're good.
aesthetic that the show needs when you're in quarantine show.
You're good.
Let's
You're
go.
good. You're good.
Up next, the Indianapolis Colts are 7-5 on the year. They are 5-1 away from home. We were talking about Jacksonville being good.
Yeah.
The Colts are 5-1 on the road. They go to, Northern Kentucky to take on the Bengals. 6-6, fresh off that Monday night win over Jacksonville Zagura.
Bengals look pretty good with Jake Browning, but I feel like it might be a little bit of fool's gold. I don't think we're seeing him run that back. I like the Colts. I like the way they're playing. They find a way to win. They can run it. They can pass it. And I think they do find a way to get this one done here. Even if they were to lose, I think it would be by one. But I think the Colts actually win this one outright, 24-20.
This one changed 1.5 on the scores. from a pick'em to 2. So that's where you've gotten. I'll go the other way on this one. I think Jamar Chase is not going to have the success that he had, but you talk to people down there, they feel like T. Higgins is going to have a major role this week. So I like Cincinnati winning this one 21-17.
Very nice. Up next, the Houston Texans, 7-5 on the football season, hitting the road, going to Jersey to battle the New York Football Jets, 4-8 on the year. They've lost 5 in a row, Bishop.
Yeah, chaos around the Jets. Weather's going to be fine. I like Stroud and the Texans big in this one. Huge, 99-2.
Ram it. Agreed. Same.
If they win the South, is Stroud in the top 3 in the MVP?
Yes.
Feels like it.
Up next, the Rams, fresh off of their win over the Cleveland Brownies. Hitting the road and headed east. The Rams flying across country at 6-6. Going to Baltimore. The Ravens coming off of their bye week. 9-3 on the football season. 4-2 at their palatial estate, Zagura.
Ravens going to go to 5-2 with their palatial estate. They're going to win this one 90-84. 90
Same.
to 84.
Yeah. Stafford and Puka Nacua at the back door.
That's right.
Gross. Up next to the NFC Norris division. And those Chicago Bears that you were talking about just a few minutes ago, we'll see them next week. The Bears taking on the Detroit Lions. This one is in Chicago. Bears are 4-8 on the football season. Lions 9-3, and they are 5-1 away from their friendly confines of Ford Field. Zagura.
I feel like the Lions can handle bad teams very, very effectively, and I think they will handle the Chicago Bears here. Goff, Montgomery, Gibbs, St. Brown, all of them, 27-10, Leones.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. Detroit's been a weird couple of weeks for them, getting slumped at home by the Packers, then racing out big against New Orleans. I think they're getting healthy, they're getting right. I like Detroit in this one, pretty big as well, 31-21.
We stay in the NFC. We go to the NFC South. The only team in the NFL that does not have a win on the road in 2023, the Carolina Panthers. 1-11 on the football season. They've already been eliminated in the playoff race. They head to New Orleans to take on the 5-7 Saints. The Saints have lost 3 in a row. The Panthers have lost 5 in a row. Bishop.
Yeah, by the way, with Arizona and New England beating Pittsburgh the last 2 weeks, the distance between Carolina and the second worst team is now a couple of games, meaning the Bears are more and more likely to pick number 1 overall, which is pretty wild. They're going to pick 1st and 5th or 6th or something like that. It's going to be crazy to see what they do. Look, I think New Orleans is a better team. Carolina's got problems, but this just strikes me as like 17-13, something like that. So I'll take Carolina losing 17-13.
Isn't Jameis playing in this one?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Carolina's dreadful, dude.
They are.
They're
They
dreadful. Saints 6, Panthers 0.
All right, we saw one of those last week. Worked out real well. Minnesota is 6-6. Josh Dobbs will be their starting quarterback. The Vikings 4-2 away from home. They travel to Las Vegas to take on the 5-7 Raiders. Bishop.
I think Antonio Pierce and the boys bounce back. They've been playing respectable. I like them at home winning outright. I'm going to go Vegas 20-17.
Same. Interesting. Same. I had that exactly the same. Max Crosby's back. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. Just don't have a good feeling about the Vikings in Vegas.
Up next to the NFC West, maybe the biggest number of the week. The Seahawks are 6-6. They visit the red-hot San Francisco 49ers, the NFL's number one team. Zagura, your Ute.
Yeah, this is a weird one. Nerd. It's a weird one because Seattle just played very well last Thursday night against Dallas.
Yep.
Took them to the limit. 11 is just a massive number. So I'm going to violate one of my typical rules, and if I look back on it, I'll say, what an idiot. Like, it doesn't make sense to me why anybody would take the Niners with Seattle getting 11. It just feels like too many points. So I'm guessing maybe the Niners will blow them up, but I just think this one is almost, it just is what it is. Like 11 points, a chance to get a backdoor cover when you're down 17 in the fourth quarter is too good. So I think that the Niners win 50-40.
It screams 31-21. Screams it.
Yeah.
Or 34-24. Yeah, I'm with you. I just think it's a touch too much. I had that penned that way as well long before you started. I knew we were going to go the same direction on that. It just sometimes it just is what it is, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. In a divisional game, those are tight. God,
I know they just slumped the Eagles.
You're coming off of that. You're flying back. I don't know. It feels like Gino and the
so
boys.
Many.
It's a lot. Yeah, there is a bigger one on Monday right now with Miami. That Miami is 13.5 with Tennessee right now.
Jeez, that's gone up.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know if this game still has the same meaning this year, given what's going on. But the Buffalo Bills are 6-6. They're 1-4 on the road. Bills traveling to Kansas City, Arrowhead to take on Mahomes and the Chiefs. Chiefs coming off of that Sunday night loss to the Green Bay Packers. Chiefs are 8-4 on the football season. Not sure what to make of either one of these two teams, but Bishop, an interesting one here.
This is it's kind of a loser go home for Buffalo. How big of a hole can you dig? I mean, you're talking 6-7. That means you got to win out to get to 10. They're playing well. We know that the guys in the desert love the Bills, though, because we've seen inflated numbers with them all season long, one way or the other. Conversely, on the other side, we had it last week with Green Bay against Kansas City at Lambeau that it would go the way that it did. The notion, though, Z, that I get Mahomes and all I need to do is win by a field goal at Arrowhead. Are they really going to lose 2 in a row? I don't think so. I like Kansas City winning kind of a gross game, 24-21. Which would be a fun game, by the way, if that's what it was.
I feel like it means a lot to the Bills. I think that, listening to you the last few weeks,
for the Bills.
You were like, when things have gone well for the Chiefs this year, it's been because of Pacheco. And
Fact.
They don't have him.
They don't. And this might also speak to your Lawrence theory, by the way, on us, because this number has been this number all week. And we just found out about Pacheco today.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'm actually going to take the Bills here. I think they get a huge win to get back into the playoff push.
Would this be Buffalo's? So Buffalo beat Miami early. That's their signature win.
Yeah,
for
sure.
Yeah,
they thumped them.
They're going to get. They've gotten a lot of credit for signature losses. Like they got credit for losing to Philly.
Yep. That was like a game of the year type of a game.
Yeah, right. Sure, exactly.
Sure. To the AFC West we go, gentlemen. The Denver Broncos. Tough loss last week at the hands of the Houston Texans. 6-6 on the year. 3-5 against the AFC. On the road, visiting the Los Angeles Chargers at SoFi. Chargers 5-7 on the year. 2-4 at home. Staley's still the coach here. Zagura.
I mean, the only thing that's keeping me from being 50 games over 500 is my love of the Chargers. And I can't quit them. I think Denver stinks. Chargers. Huge. 50-12.
You're blinded by Justin Herbert's glowing, flowing locks. You just can't get past them. This is a battle of if the Chargers had real ownership, they would have gotten rid of Staley last year, and they could have brought in Sean Payton because he would have done it. This is the spot. for Peyton.
Oh, yeah.
With this group, this is the spot for him that he absolutely would have thrived. I don't know how you go to New England and score 6. I know New England's got a good defense, but come on. What are we doing? And I know there's weather. There's all of it. Denver on a bounce back. It's going to be Orange Crush there for sure. It'll be home field for the Broncos in that game. I thought it was illuminating talking to Chris, Rose, and also Andrew about the Chargers' place out there and to see how irrelevant they are. It's not like they just moved there this year. They've been there a long, long time now. What is it, 6, 7 seasons?
Yep.
And they've made no traction whatsoever. They're just this completely irrelevant NFL franchise playing in the second most important market in this country, or maybe the most important market in this country. It's wild how little impact they've had there. I like Denver going in there and winning outright, baby. Broncos country. Let's ride. 21-19.
Woo! All right, then. Sometimes you got to wait all day for Sunday night. Sometimes you don't. This is one.
It's a good one.
That you probably want to. Yep. Get a nap in. Get a nap in the afternoon games. Take a little snooze.
Buffalo, Kansas City's afternoon, too, though.
I know, but if it's not
ones.
good, take a little breather. Shut the eyes for a little bit. Get ready. The Philadelphia Eagles, 10-2 on the football season, off of that thumping at the hands of the 49ers, hitting the road. 5-1 on the road. They visit the Dallas Cowboys. 6-0 at home. They have one signature win. It was over the Seattle Seahawks. A chance here for the Cowboys to really get in the conversation, at least.
Oh, yeah.
To win the NFC East and maybe for that number 1 seed should the 49ers slip up. Bishop.
Isn't everybody looking at this and going, give me Philly? I'm getting 3.5 with Philly?
Yep.
Come on, everyone's saying that. And then you go and look at it and you go, God, Dallas beats Philly and Dallas a lot. And Dallas is rolling. I think they continue to roll. I think all the league is talking about on Monday is the Dallas Cowboys are a Super Bowl contender, and what's wrong with the Eagles? And I guess what? I don't think it's going to mean anything when it comes to January, but I think Dallas gets to have and smell some flowers on Sunday, and they're going to win this one by 4, 31-27.
Flowers, baby.
Same. Flowers for Irv.
Yeah. A little bit of flowers for Dallas. You can see it.
Yes,
That's
same.
all anyone's going to be talking about if they do it. It's going to be the Cowboys are Super Bowl contenders. Nothing else that's happened that's going to happen on Sunday is going to be the damn thing if Dallas beats Philly. And it feels like they will. So, yeah. It's a good slate, though. I mean, the afternoon, the 1 o'clock games have critical importance, guys. You talk about that Indy-Cincinnati game. Our game speaks for itself. The Rams and Baltimore, those are two teams that are both battling for the postseason. Then you get into the afternoon games. Seattle at San Francisco's got some juice to it, obviously. Denver has some juice to their game with the Chargers. And then, obviously, Buffalo and Kansas City. 6 and 7. You think of those teams at 6 and 6. Cincinnati, Buffalo, teams that are used to playing in the AFC Championship or deep in the postseason. I know Cincinnati's beaten up, obviously, with injury, but you drop to 6 and 7. It's hard to see a roadmap for you.
Yes. Yeah, there's big games this weekend, man. I love it. This is when football gets good.
Yeah, there are, and that's it's a pretty good job. Good job out of you, Gibbe.
Gentlemen, we'll talk to you on the other side.
Very good. And we'll be back next Thursday to answer your questions in the mailbag. The mailbag is presented by Cross Country Mortgage, official mortgage partner of your Cleveland Browns. When it comes to financing, they'll always get you home. Visit ccm.com today. Equal housing opportunity. We will get you set finally for our game coming up next. Get the picks on that. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Valley Bet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, Sunday, Cleveland Browns Radio Network, 9 a.m. Browns Game Day with Ken and Gerard, 11 a.m. The kickoff show with Andy and Tyvis. Then at 1 o'clock, kickoff of Jaguars and Browns. The voice, Jim Donovan, Z, and Gerard on the call on that one. It's a big one, Dr. Z. How do you see it?
It is a big one, and I feel like the Browns snapped the losing streak. Kevin Stefanski never lost. He has never lost against the AFC South 7-0 as a coach, and it was brought to my attention by Mr. Siciliano that Stefanski is 9-1 all-time against cat teams, 6-1 against the Bengals, 1-0 against the Panthers, 1-0 against the Lions, 1-0 against the Jags. Therefore, we cannot lose. Browns,
Cat logic, undefeated.
Browns, bigly,
Let's
23-17.
I love it. Same.
Browns.
Same. Nurse
Let's
yourself,
go.
brother. Need a 10 out of 10 zest Gibby on.
You'll have my zest.
Dr.
I'll
Z.
get the adrenaline going. I'll be plenty zesty.
10-10 zest out of you on Sunday, my friend. Enjoy that. The next level is coming up next. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.